you picked up on the way in has to do with law of cosines and law of sines. Okay, the front page really is your note page, and you may have to use more paper to complete the stuff we're going to complete on here. Okay, the back page is your homework, and on that page, I'll tell you what to do towards the end of class there. All right, you'll notice though, all the problems on the back that we're kind of looking at, these problems are not right triangles, though you're being asked to use sine and cosine to solve these triangles. Okay, which means we have to be able to use the law of cosines and law of sines. All right, so the law of cosines, we're not going to go through how to prove those in here. However, they are in your book if you'd like to know how to prove them. I'll also attach some videos on the website if you want to look on a proof of them. But the law of cosines. The law of cosines says if you, hey, pay attention. If you have x squared, that's equal to y squared plus z squared minus 2yz times the cosine of big X. All right? So the first thing we need to be able to do is recognize that when we're dealing with law of cosines, you're actually dealing with a triangle. And if we draw that triangle, just kind of a generic triangle here, we say this is not a right triangle. And we start labeling sides. For instance, if we're using this formula, if we call this angle X, and this angle Y, and this angle Z, please note those are capital letters. Then this side, the side opposite angle X, that means if I were to trace angle X, the side I do not trace, that is called side X. That's little x. Okay, the side opposite angle Y, thank you, is called side Y. And the side opposite angle Z is side Z. Lowercase. Uppercase is your angle. Lowercase is your side. If you did not know that, write it down. That is a big deal. Because you're going to see multiple X's, multiple Y's, and multiple Z's, and they mean different things if they're upper or lowercase. Yes? One's upper and one's lowercase. Uppercase represents angle. Lowercase represents side. So, Carlo, if you're drawing your own triangle and you don't want to label it like that, that's fine. Why do I label it like that? Because that's how you're going to see it in the majority of the math world. You probably want to know that. You're probably going to use math in your career, I guess. Well, yeah, so can you use different letters for the upper and lower case? You can. However, when you look at a textbook in college or in high school and they haven't, you're not going to call the publisher and have them change it for you. Yeah, but you can. If you're making up your own problems or drawing your own shape, you can. Yeah. It'd probably be less confusing, I agree. But you need to know this format because that's how most of your books are going to represent it. Okay? Brandon, what you up to, man? Just kicking back? All right. So the first thing we need to do is we need to take and actually let me get to this. What I need you to do right now is copy down that triangle. Copy down where or what triangle? Yeah, just right under where it says all three sides. We'll use the law of cosines when we know all three sides of a triangle. And it's not a right triangle. We would reference that as side, side, side. If you think of it that way. Okay. So we'll call this side, side, side. So you use law of cosines when you have side, side, side. Now I'm going to tell you the different times you can use them. But So side, side, side here. All right. So am I looking for a side or an angle? An angle. If I'm completing this triangle, meaning finding all side and all angle measures, I am looking for an angle. Okay? So, which angle do you want to find first? Angle Y? You sure? Find an angle X? Agree with your group which angle you want to find first. Doesn't matter which one we find first. No, it doesn't matter which one we find first here. Okay, since our formula is in terms of x, I'm going to find x first. And the first thing we need to do is label our sides. So, right now, label your measures here in terms of sides. So, what side is this? 65. Z. That's opposite of angle Z, so that's Z. What side's this one? That is X. And this one is Y. It's opposite Y. Okay. So there we've got X, Y, Z. Important piece here. So if I am finding side X, the first thing to do is to write down our formula. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start it up right here. We have X squared is equal to Y squared plus Z squared minus 2YZ cos X. All right, fill in the pieces you know. All right, how many got that? Okay, good. Notice there's only one variable left. If you have multiple variables left after you fill everything in, then we have a problem. Because in order to solve for multiple variables, you have to be able to use systems, which we're not using here. So if you're doing all the calculations, 120 squared, 70 squared, 65 squared, go ahead and put all that together. Find the next line there. All right, my next step is right there. Now you'll notice that I keep switching back to a pre-written out thing. This is from years ago when I actually, like at the end of my year, we used to teach this in trig every year. And at the end of the year I broke my foot, so I had to pre-teach all my lessons, and I had to sit at a desk the whole time, and I couldn't move around. And so I just was able to move around and have things written out. But that's what our next step should look like. How many have made it that far? Now, I want you to be careful on this next piece, because this is where you make your mistakes. Okay? Everyone write down the next line. Who has the next line down? Okay, how many just have your answer? Okay, make sure you write the next line out. Let's make sure you don't make the mistake. All right, check your next line. $14,400 is equal to 9,125 minus 9,100x. So I combine which two things? Good, I only combine the 4,900 and the 4,225, right? These two pieces right here. I can't put the 9,100 in with it because it's connected to the cosine x. Okay, it's a common mistake there. You cannot put this piece right here with those two pieces, because this is connected to that through multiplication. Okay, so tell your neighbor what your next step's going to be if that's the case. All right, next step, subtract 9,125 to the other side. How many got it? Okay, remember, you can't put 9,125 and 9,100 together. Okay? What is the next step? Tell your neighbor. Okay, next step is to divide by negative 9,100. Okay, what's the next step? How do we find x from there? Yes, use inverse cosine. Everyone figure out what x is using inverse cosine. And x is 125.4. Well done.
What?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Same.
Make sure when you do the inverse cosine, you put the whole 5275 over negative 9,100 in parentheses. And make sure you put this part in parentheses.
Wait, now we have to find the angle.
Yeah, so that's a good point. That's only for one angle. We know one angle right now.
I just filled up the whole page.
That's ridiculous.
Same.
We now have to find another angle, like angle Y. Yeah, dude.
It's not that funny.
That's why I said you might need a separate sheet of paper. So right now I want you to fill out or find angle Y. Why? Because it's fun, man. That's why. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, right now you should be filling out all the parts to find Y. So fill in the correct X, Y, and Z values. I want you to find Y. Get all the way to the very end. Make sure you leave a trail of your steps so you can compare your work at the end. Hey guys, please note that we've changed the law of cosines here, or the law of cosines. Rather than saying x squared now, we're saying y squared, right? So you just move the y to here and you put the x and cosine y. So the law of cosines, there's actually three different pieces you can use. All right? So let me switch over here real quick. So the law of cosines that we started with, x squared is equal to y squared plus z squared minus 2yz cos x. Okay? Well, you could also use y squared. And when you have y squared here, that means you're going to end up with cos y at the end. Okay? And over here, you're going to have the other two sides, x and z, and 2xz. Give me 1 second there, Carla. Okay? And then the final one would be z squared. That means we end with cos z. And then over here, we'd have y squared and x squared. I guess if you put them alphabetical, that would be x squared plus y squared minus 2y's. Or 2xz. Or xy, my goodness. Don't want anyone falling down. Okay, that's an xy. But you have three different ones. If you can just remember the pattern, though, how things are associated, it makes it a lot easier. Yeah? Mm-hmm. You can't switch because it changes here, 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 and here. All right. So hopefully we're calculating it out there. I'm going to be gradually putting up the steps here so you can make sure you're doing it right. There's everything plugged in and calculated out. $4,900 equals $14,400 plus $42,25 minus $15,600 cos y. Combine your $14,400 and $42,25 to get $18,625 minus $15,600 cos y. Subtract your $18,625 to both sides. You get negative $13,725 equals negative $15,600 cos y. Divide both sides by negative $15,600. The negatives cancel. You get cos y equals $13,725 over $15,600. Take the inverse cosine of that, and you get 28.4. And now you have to do it again. Oh, you don't? Why not? Brandon, why don't you? Yeah, use the triangle angle sum theorem. Yeah. Okay, so the last step would be just to take what you already know, 125.4 plus 28.4, add them up, subtract from 180 to get angle Z. 26.2, and all those are approximations because we've rounded them. So we use the law of cosines when you know three sides. Pretty cool? When else could you use it? When you know two sides and an included angle, or side, angle, side. So if you know a side and an angle and another side, side, angle, side. Okay? I want you to copy that triangle down for letter B, and then solve the triangle, please. That means find all angles and all side measures. Okay, I'm going to gradually put up answers for the way I've done it. Now, you may be solving for a different side to begin with than I am. I solved for x first. I labeled x, y, and z. So I said x squared equals y squared plus z squared minus 2yz. Anyone else solve for x first? Anyone solve for like an angle first? It's okay. Well, which x am I solving for up there? Okay. I'll let you keep going. It's important that you're showing your work, though, so that you can compare it at the end. All right, here we go. X is 117.5.
Wait, how'd you get cosine 105?
Okay, hold on. You got it. At this point, you should be checking your work, right? So comparing your work to mine. All right, so we have x squared. We do all the math here, and at the very end, okay, you're taking the square root of 13769.75. Now, I will tell you, did anyone do that? No one took the square root of that? Huh?
I did the Pythagorean theorem, but it didn't work.
You did what?
The Pythagorean theorem.
The Pythagorean theorem.
It didn't work.
Please be comparing your work. I will tell you at some point today, I tried to input I put a place where there's a mistake that you guys are going to have to catch. Plus you squared. Yeah.
So that's wrong?
No. I'm not saying it's wrong. Did you can't use the Pythagorean theorem on this, though.
Obviously.
Yeah. It's not right triangle.
Exactly.
Okay, how many got it? Right here. I multiplied this by that. Right? Do cosine of 105 times 10,540. And then subtract it from 11,069. Yeah. Any other questions?
Wait, can I? Yeah, now I have it.
All right, moving on. Next piece, once I know x, I can then find my other side, or my angle z. Okay, let's go ahead and finish up z. No, we're going on. Go on, move on to z. Hey, everyone take a look up here real quick. This formula, this is not the mistake that I had referred to, but this should be a y right here. When it's plugged in correctly. Okay, should be 2xy. So y equals 62. I just accidentally put z right there. So that should be a y. Okay? Yes, you will. Yeah.
Why isn't it z equals y squared?
Okay. Make sure to compare your work. Okay, 44.5. Need everyone's attention back up here. We had 3 people talk to me about the mistake. The mistake was I squared 117.5 incorrect there. Many of you caught it, okay, which actually changes this value. This is Sophia's paper. Good job. Okay, 13806.25, which actually doesn't change your answer tons, but it changes it from 44.5 to 45 or 44.3. Okay? Very good. No, you'd want to have the 44.3. You guys over there talking, just so you know, you are calling for a sine series. All right? 44.3. Now, when we have those two values, the 44.3 and we have our other side length, are we able to complete the triangle? Yeah, what's the last one? 30.7. How do you find that? Yeah, triangle angle sum theorem. So the final angle there is 30.7. Okay, your assignment. Okay, your assignment is the back of the paper. Take a look at it. Yeah, the back of the paper, man.
Wait, like this? Is it just this?
No, hey, you don't have to have the warm-up on there. No, you don't want the warm-up. Get rid of the warm-up. Okay, take a look at the back of the paper. Remember, this 30.5 here is actually, what was it? What was this one again? Not 30.5. 30.7. Change it. Okay, your assignment today is 1 through 4 on the other side. 1 through 4. 1 through 4. Maddie, I